Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a spicy moveset experiment that honestly worked a lot better than I expected, and that is Flash Cannon Registeel. Since Registeel got Zap Cannon, Flash Cannon has basically been forgotten. However, I ran Flash Cannon Registeel on the save switch, and was able to surprise quite a few Trevenant and Gliscor with neutral damage. While Zap Cannon probably is still preferred, Flash Cannon put in a surprising amount of work. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Flash Cannon Registeel in action in the Great League. Hopping to the first match, picking up a tough lead Frostlass into Shadow Walrein. I will immediately save switch into Registeel. My opponent is actually staying in here. I continue to farm. In comes Gliscor, and Gliscor is about to have a very bad day. Gliscor typically walls Registeel's charge moves, but not with Flash Cannon. I reach Flash Cannon number 2, and now they have a choice. They either have to give me switch advantage or shield advantage. They will commit the shield. They overfarm quite a bit, and at this point, I'm just gonna let this go. If they Earthquake me, I'm fine with it. They do go for the Earthquake, that's perfectly fine. I can now wait my clock a little bit, send in Frostlass, and commit to the farm down. Frostlass going to be in a pretty nice spot here as I'm able to tank the Night Slash and leave with some energy to threaten whatever my opponent is going to bring in. My opponent is going to send in the Shadow Walrein, and they end up losing CMP to Frostlass. That is massive. This Shadow Ball does get them low, and I'm just going to let this go. If it's an Icicle Spear, I should barely survive. They do full send the Quake. Very nicely done. In comes Water Gun Lantern, and in the back they have Medicham. Originally I did run Spark, but I decided to switch to Water Gun Lantern just because the Frostlass Registeel core is a bit weak to Galarian Stunfisk. I'm going to fire off the Surf. Medicham is going to let that through. Odds are, honestly, they're probably just going to spam out Ice Punches here. I commit the shield. It is an Ice Punch. That's not great. I believe they are short of a Psychic here, so I am going to let this through as it is going to be only an Ice Punch. An Ice Punch does not do a lot of damage. I continue to farm. I'm going to fire off the Surf. Surf will KO here. Are they going to commit the final shield? They are not. In comes the Walrein. Walrein trying to reach the back-to-back Icicle Spears. They're not quite there yet. They still need a couple more Powder Snows. Can Lantern Water Gun down? It's gonna be close, and we get the farm down. The tough leads continue in the next match, Frostlass into Lantern. Honestly, if it's a Spark Lantern, I am ABA weak to this, so it is going to be a bit awkward to play my way out of this. I'm going to farm up, go for the Shadow Ball, and it ends up being a CMP tie. Shadow Ball is going to be shielded by my opponent, as they clearly do not want Frostlass to see whatever they have in the back. They go for the Thunderbolt, that does quite a bit of damage. I continue to farm up here, switch and catch a Surf onto my Registeel. This way, I've preserved some energy on my Frostlass to take on whatever my opponent has in the back. They're going to stay in here with Lantern. Lantern farming up, and this is enough for a Thunderbolt. Do I commit a shield here? I decide to shield, and it is the Thunderbolt. That's kind of big. I'm going to fire off this Focus Blast. Focus Blast will not KO, but it will get them quite low. At this point, I should be able to go for a Flash Cannon, as this is definitely Flash Cannon range. I'm going to let this go, farm up, and then go for the Flash Cannon. Thunderbolt lands. I go for the Flash Cannon, and my opponent catches onto a Frostlass. They thought they caught a Focus Blast, but all they catch is Registeel's hands. I'm gonna bank a move, snipe with a Lantern, and now I'm in an incredibly good spot here. Thunderbolt would do some solid neutral damage, so I am going to commit the shield from the Lantern and commit to the farm down. Lantern gets the farm down in the back. They have Noctowl, and this game is over. I'm gonna fire off the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt will hit for big super effective damage, so we do see a shield from the Noctowl. Noctowl just cannot do enough damage to Lantern in this matchup. Shadow Ball lands, Lantern shrugs it off and is going for Thunderbolt number 2. Even with Water Gun having slower energy generation than Spark, this is still a miserable matchup for Noctowl. In comes the Frostlass, we snipe with the Avalanche, and secure the victory. We've got some spice in the next match, Frostlass into Quagsire. Honestly, Quagsire is a scary Pokemon for this team to see, as it can hit the entire team for super effective damage. Fortunately, Frostlass is able to outpace, so I'm going to get to strike first, and Avalanche is able to land onto the bulky Quagsire. Quagsire is going to return fire with a Stone Edge. I will shield immediately, and I'm going to fire off Avalanche number 2, because I do not want to risk them getting to a second Stone Edge. This Avalanche will, of course, easily KO. My opponent lets it through. They send in Noctowl, and my team triple hard counters Noctowl. I'm gonna bank a move for later, send in Registeel, and in the back, they have Gliscor. Gliscor is about to have a terrible day once they see I'm running Flash Cannon. Big damage onto the Gliscor. Gliscor continues to farm. This will be the Earthquake. This will hit for a massive super effective damage. Earthquake lands. Registeel able to hang on and make it to another Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon being slightly cheaper than Focus Blast comes in handy as I'm able to take down a Gliscor with my Reggie. Back in comes Noctowl, but I have it aligned against Lantern, and Lantern is in a pretty nice spot here. My opponent cannot KO with 2 Shadow Balls since my Lantern was at full health, so I'm in a really good situation. They go for another Shadow Ball. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to send in Frostlass. Frostlass is able to make it to the back-to-back Avalanches, and at this point, this game is over. Avalanche gets no-shielded, and that is a good game. Picking up another tough lead in the next match, Frostlass into Trevenant. Honestly, Trevenant is a pretty big core breaker for this team, so definitely not a Pokemon I'm happy to see. My opponent will go for the Seed Bomb right away. After they land the Seed Bomb, they can farm down, so I will commit the shield and grab the shield back with the Avalanche. After this, I've done enough Powder Snow damage where I can safely send in Registeel, because typically, this is not Zap Cannon range, so Trevenant, odds are they may not shield it. However, it is definitely going to be Flash Cannon range, so I'm going to farm up, fire off the Flash Cannon here. Do they respect it? They do not, and down goes Trevenant. We'll have to see what my opponent is going to send in here. They're going to send in a Lantern. Lantern farming up quite a bit of energy here. I go for the Focus Blast, but I end up losing CMP. Lantern goes for the Surf. Registeel lives with a sliver of HP and is able to fire back with the Focus Blast. Focus Blast connects and is going to get that Lantern below half health. I'm going to send in Frostlass, but honestly, I'm in a bit of a tough spot here. My opponent is going to fire off the Surf. Surf does get the Frostlass low in the back. They have Umbreon, and now it's Umbreon versus Water Gun Lantern. This is going to be a very tough endgame because Umbreon is extremely tanky, and thanks to Snarl, can spam out charge moves very quickly. I'm going to fire off this Surf. Surf will get some solid chip damage onto my opponent. Well, I say solid chip damage, but honestly, that did not do a lot of damage whatsoever. Umbreon is an absolute tank. They're going for foul play after foul play in this matchup, continuing to apply pressure, and things are honestly looking a bit rough here. I will commit the shield on the foul play. I do have enough for a Thunderbolt. I'm going to bait with a Surf, hoping my opponent is going to commit the shield here. My opponent is going to let that go. They're going to send in their own Lantern. I farm up, and I'm able to win CMP. That is actually big. Avalanche fired off onto the Lantern. They're going to let that through, and now they cannot farm me down as they're stuck throwing the Surf. If I can farm down here with my Lantern, maybe I have a chance. This is going to be close. Umbreon is 2 Snarls off of the move. I farm up, fire off the Surf. This is going to be very close. Can I make it to Surf number 2? I fall 1 Water Gun short as we lose a heartbreaking game. Moving into the next match, picking up a pretty decent lead, Frostlass into Shadow Swampert. Frostlass can tank a Shadow Hydro Cannon, meaning that they're going to have to go for an Earthquake if they want the one-shot. I am able to outpace them and reach the Avalanche before they're able to make it to the Earthquake. I'm going for the Avalanche. This would do a ton of damage, so my opponent is going to commit the shield. They definitely have enough for the Earthquake here, but I'm feeling brave. I decide to call the bait. It's the Hydro, and I'm able to tank it. They're going for Hydro number 2. I will commit the shield because that means I get my second Avalanche. And this means that I guarantee either switch advantage or both of their shields. Avalanche does get shielded, that's perfectly fine by me, as now I can send in my Water Gun Lantern. Swampert is staying in, so it looks like whatever they have in the back could be weak to Lantern. There definitely could be some flyers there. They're gonna bait. I'm not taking any chances. I'm gonna fire off this Surf to grab the KO, and we'll see what they have in the back. Surf is going to connect. My opponent sends in Noctowl, so it looks like they have double flyers in the back, and Lantern is about to feast. They go for the Shadow Ball. Lantern able to shake off that damage. Lantern continuing to farm and going for the Thunderbolt. This Thunderbolt is definitely going to hurt. Thunderbolt gets them low. In comes Pelipper. I'm going to farm up, switch into Registeel, and I don't have Zap Cannon, but my opponent does not know that, and they concede the match. Dream Lead in the next match, Frostlass into Defense Deoxys. Opponent is going to stay in this matchup and go for the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost, not going to do a ton of damage, so I am going to let this through, and we'll see what they end up switching into. My opponent is going to send in Charm, Alolan Ninetales, and Alolan Ninetales is not ready for Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon is going to hit for double super effective damage here, absolutely tearing the Ninetales to shreds. I farm up, go for the Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon one-shots the Ninetales, and back in comes Defense Deoxys. But this is a situation where having a slightly cheaper charge move in Flash Cannon can come in handy, as I'm able to reach not one, but I will be able to reach a second Flash Cannon as well, applying so much pressure onto the Deoxys. Flash Cannon is going to get the shield. Deoxys is going to farm down, but they lose CMP to Frostlass, so now I'm able to put even more pressure onto the Deoxys. Deoxys commits the shield. That makes me think they could potentially be weak in the back to Frostlass. If that's the case, I'm more than happy to double shield and farm down, because I don't believe they're going to be able to make triple Rock Slide here. They go for Rock Slide number 2, I commit the shield, Frostlass gets the farm down. In the back, they have Wigglytuff, so they're running Defense Deoxys double charm. All I have to do is Avalanche, switch in the Lantern, opponent sees the writing on the wall, and concedes the match. Moving into the next match, picking up a tough lead, Frostlass into Sableye. I'm going to need to immediately save switch out of here into Registeel, and this is a matchup where having Zap Cannon would be a definite benefit, as if you're able to get an early Zap Cannon debuff, that can potentially flip this matchup into Registeel's favor. However, with no Zap Cannon, I'm just going to fire off the Flash Cannon, play out the Zero Shields, and unfortunately, this foul play combined with the extra Shadow Claw damage is going to be enough to KO. So I don't really see a point in shielding here, I'm just going to let this go, fully wait my timer, and then send in Lantern. I'm hoping that with Sableye out of the way, then Frostlass will be able to put in a ton of work for me in the end game. Sableye is going to fire off a charge move. I'm going to let this go. My opponent is going to go for the foul play. That does some solid chip damage, and then they're going to pivot into Azumarill. So they are clearly not the strongest against Lantern in the back if they're sending in Azu. I fire off the Thunderbolt, and I'm able to grab a shield. That is quite nice. I continue to farm up. They do have a lot of energy here. This is a tough decision to make. I decide to let it through. Play Rough does get me low, but I'm able to reach the last second Thunderbolt. That is quite nice. This will not one-shot, but it will get the Azu deep into the red. Azu looking for the farm down. They're not going to be able to get it, and they're forced to empty their energy. That works out nicely for me, as now I can send in Frostlass, shield once, and get a pretty massive energy lead, and we've seen Frostlass with energy is incredibly deadly. The only thing I have to watch for is a potential catch onto the Sableye. My opponent is going to give up switch as they send in Noctowl, and Noctowl is about to have a terrible day going against Frostlass. One thing I did enjoy about this team is that the entire team is able to beat Noctowl, so if you see the Owl anywhere, you're probably going to be in a pretty nice spot. My opponent is going to fire off a last second charge move. It's the Sky Attack. I get the shield, and now from here, I'm in a very nice spot, because they basically have no HP remaining on the Sableye. They get farmed down, and that is a good game. Hopping to the final match, sending Frostlass into Toxapex. Pretty interesting matchup, both fast moves not doing a lot of damage here. I'm going to bank a Shadow Ball and then safe switch into Registeel. My opponent is going to respond with a Trevenant, and again, it feels so nice to have Flash Cannon here. Flash Cannon lands and gets that Trevenant nearly into the red. Trevenant continues to farm. They're going to be firing off a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will do quite a lot of damage. Registeel able to hang on and make it to the Flash Cannon. This will KO unless my opponent decides to commit the shield, and down goes the Trevenant. My opponent is going to send in Shadow Wall Rain, looking for the farm down. Registeel able to withstand the Powder's Nose and make it to a Focus Blast. Focus Blast is going to get the shield, but Shadow Wall Rain with this much energy is a bit scary. I do have a Shadow Ball loaded on my Frostlass here, so I am going to send in Frostlass, and I'm able to win CMP over the Wall Rain. Shadow Ball will not be lethal, but it will get them very low, and honestly, at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about the situation that I'm in. I've managed to get the Wall Rain low. I'm going to send in my Lantern as I'm able to anticipate the snipe from Toxapex and catch the brine. Things are honestly looking very good now here, as even if they're able to connect with the Sludge Wave does not hit very hard. They go for the Sludge Wave. Lantern is just oh so bulky, able to tank it, farm up, and then go for the Thunderbolt. This Thunderbolt is going to hit for some super effective damage. Opponent is going to commit the shield. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, Lantern is getting quite low, but is able to hang on and reach Thunderbolt number 2 versus the Toxapex. Thunderbolt gets the Toxapex low. Toxapex is going to fire off the last second charge move here. They go for the Brine. I send in Frostlass. They're going to bring back in the Shadow Wall Rain. And at this point, honestly, Avalanche probably would kill, but to be safe, I will be able to make it to the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will easily KO from here. The Toxapex just does not have enough HP left, so this should be game over. Frostlass not quite able to get the farm down, but it's only a Brine. Brine not gonna do the job, and that is a good game. All in all, I left feeling rather surprised with Flash Cannon Registeel's performance. I was able to go positive with the team, and Flash Cannon did definitely come in handy. I will say, Zap Cannon is still probably the preferred moveset overall, just due to that debuff potential, but Flash Cannon can definitely catch some opponents off guard. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.